If else is one of the great ways to control the flow of tasks inside of a job. And most of your task flow requirement can be completed using if else task itself. But there is another one which is called for each. The purpose of for each is to execute a task in a loop. So let's say you have one task, you want to execute the task over and over again. We can do that using for each. Now I can imagine that the task has to be same. So it cannot be different tasks. So we can use only one task which would be executed over multiple times in a loop. And each time maybe the input parameters to the task would be different. So that's why the task will loop over the parameters till the time all of them are complete. Now the loop that is created using for each contains two tasks. One is the for each task itself, which is the loop. It is similar to the if else task that we had seen earlier. The purpose of if else task is to find out whether a condition is true or false. And the purpose of for each task is to loop the inner task or the nested task over and over again, which is the second task, which is known as nested task, and it gets executed on each iteration. And it's just a normal task that you create out of a notebook or an SQL script. So for each task also contains two different tasks. The for each is the control flow. And then we have the normal tasks which will perform the execution or the data processing, just like the if else task. In if else, we had a task which would read from the change data feed. Then we had the if else task, and then we had used tasks 2 and 3 based on the evaluation to be true or false. Similarly, for each task would also contain two tasks. One is the for each, which is the control flow, and the other one is the nested task. So this is how the architecture would be. Let's say we have the for each task, and inside of the for each task, we'll have the nested task, which would contain a notebook, and this notebook would be a typical notebook for data processing. Now, the purpose of the for each task is to loop over the nested task over and over again. So it would start from the nested task, it will come back again and execute the nested task or the notebook again. It will loop over again. So it will do the same with multiple iterations. And the number of iterations are dependent on the number of elements in a JSON array. So that's why the for each task will need a JSON array, or you can consider this as a Python list also. Now the for each task will iterate over all the elements which are there in the JSON array. And it would be passed as a parameter, or it would be defined as a parameter inside of the for each task. Now some trivia, the array can contain key value or string or any other data types. And there's a limit of the array. We cannot have more than 5,000 characters, or we cannot have more than 48 kilobytes of size. So let's say this is the array, and we have customer, account, and transaction. These are the three elements of an array. This array will be defined using the parameter. So this array would be the parameter which will be used by the for each task. It is not for the notebook, it is for the for each task. And depending on the number of elements that we have here, the for each task will perform those many number of iterations. So as you have only 3 elements here, the notebook which is there in the nested task will be executed 3 times. One using the customer value, next time using the account value, and the third time using the transaction value. And you can also pass a key value element, which is basically a dictionary element inside of a list. This can also be passed, or this can also be defined in the parameter of the for each task, and the notebook will iterate over depending on the number of elements. Here also we have only 3 elements. So the notebook will be executed 3 times. Each time it will get the value of customer if we use the key. The name of the key is key itself here, by the way. Now, where do we define these parameters? In the if else task, we have already got a flavor of how things will work in the console. So this would be the same. The parameters for the control flow task, in this case it is the for each task, will be defined using the console. We can use 2 different types. The first one is open bracket, double open bracket input. In this case, the value should be defined, or the parameter should be defined with simple elements like this. It can be integer also, it can be decimal also, and string also. But if we define a key value element, or if we define the parameter using key value element, then we'll have to use input dot the name of the key. In this case, for our example, the name itself would be key, but definitely that would typically not be the case. And to reference the values in the task, which is nothing but the notebook, we can use the dbutils.widgets.get followed by the key name in the console. Whatever key name we provide in the console, that name has to be used in the widgets utilities. And if it is an element, let's say something like this, we'll have to use the key element name in the console. Obviously, I'll show you this. Might be a little confusing right now. But what I mean to say here is that the parameters for the for each task will be defined in the console, and the notebook will have to refer these parameter values using the dbutils widgets utilities. And if the list is pretty large, let's say more than 48 KB or more than 5000 characters, then we should define a JSON config file which would contain the array or list element, or maybe the key value array. Okay, so now let's try to understand it architecturally, because you have seen that it might get a little complicated and definitely we might get error. So let's say I have this for each task, which I have defined in the console, in the jobs and pipelines. And then I have this nested task. Now this nested task would be defined inside of the for each task. And in for each task, we define the loop parameter in the console again. And in the nested task, we define the notebook, which is the actual task, which will perform the execution. So the for each task will loop over or iterate the nested task multiple times depending on the number of elements in the array that we pass. So let's say this is the element we pass using a simple list, simple Python list or JSON array. There are three values: customer, account, transaction, and we define these parameters and their values in the for each task. And then we define it using the key and value. In key, we mention the name itself that is in the console. The key that you are seeing here, that is defined in the nested task, not in the notebook. So we define the loop parameter in the for each task, but we define the key and value in the nested task. If the array is a simple array like this, which contains either string or integer or decimal, then the value would contain double curly braces, open and close. And then we'll have to pass the keyword input. And the name of the key would be anything. So it can be table name. We can define the key as table underscore name or entity underscore name. It's up to us. But this has to be defined in the nested task. Why? Because the list or the parameter will be passed every time in the nested task, and then it will be used by the widget inside of the notebook. Now, if you have something like this, let's say we have another JSON array which contains individual dictionary items, and the key is table and the value is individual values. Obviously, the key should also be inside of double quotes. This is not a valid JSON, by the way. Table is the name of the key and all of them would be inside of double quotes. But we'll define these values in the for each task loop parameter. But in the nested task, we will define the name of the key, which can be anything. It can be input table or table name or anything of that sort. And the value would be input dot the key name. Now here, the key name is table. That's why you see we have this dot table here. And this has to be defined inside of the nested task for loop parameters like this. So we define the loop parameters in the for each task, and we define the key and value in the nested task. And then we use the dbutils widgets utility to get the values every time. The name would be the name of the key, that whatever we provide in the nested task. So this is the first way of doing it. But obviously things would not be as simple. It would not be that we'll be having a for each task and we'll execute the for each task over loop. There would be a pre-task also. Let's say the values of the parameter or the loop parameter are generated by a task which is before the for each task. Just like the if-else condition, right? We had defined the CDF read task before the if-else task. Similarly, you can have a task here which will generate the list, and that would be passed to the for each task, or that would be passed as a loop parameter in the for each task. So the task one would be executed first, then the for each task would be executed, and then the nested task would be executed. Now, if we have to pass array elements, let's say, from task 1 to the for each task, we'll obviously have to set a task parameter inside of task number 1. And it would be using the jobs.taskvalues.set. The key name can be anything. I'm showing tbl underscore nm, but the value has to be a list or an array. In Python, obviously, it would be list. Because the values are generated by task number 1, it would be received by the loop parameter, or it would be received in the loop parameter by the for each task from task number 1. In that case, we cannot hard code this. We have to use dynamic value reference just like any other case. Similarly, we can use, let's say, task number 1 to generate values like this also using key value pair. But in both the cases, we'll have to use dynamic value reference in the loop parameter to get the values. And this is what we use. Tasks.task1, which is the name of the task. Tasks is the keyword. Task1 is the name of this task. And then the values, which is a keyword, and then tbl underscore name. tbl underscore name is the task parameter which was set by task number 1. The same thing would be done here also. It would be same name. The only difference would be that in this case we would be receiving a simple list with maybe string elements or integer elements or decimal elements inside of it. But in this case we'll be receiving the value as dictionary elements inside of the array or inside of the list. Now then it would be passed to the nested task. And this is how the execution would be complete. Now, I know it is easier said than done because it might look pretty confusing. So let us go ahead and do a hands-on to clear things out. And I'll be using this same architecture wherein the list would be generated by a task which will execute before the for each task. And for each task will receive the parameter and then we'll use a nested task which will iterate over the notebook. The reason I'll be showing you hands-on like this because this is the most likely scenario that we'll have in production.